here are my LED lights. Let's see what we can do to fix them. So as you remember my how to fix Christmas lights video that has just the incandescents, the Lightkeeper Pro is the tool to have. And just as incandescents have their tool, this very same company that makes the Lightkeeper Pro, how awesome of a tool it is, also makes the LED Keeper. So, and if you want to fix any LED lights, you'll have to have this tool, the yellow one, and not the red one here, which is only good for incandescent mini lights. So, two different tools. This one was about 20 bucks. This one, it depends upon where you find it. You know, it might be between 25 to 35, somewhere in there. But you know, if you fix some really nice strings of LEDs, this tool will pay for itself after you fix 2 or 3. So it'll definitely pay for itself in just a bit. So this is the tool that you're going to have. In this tool, you'll see you get some, essentially, if you saw my last video, I used clothespins to mark. Basically, you just get some plastic clothespins to help you in that process. And you get these little resistor pods. You can see the black resistor pods there. We'll go over those in the process of fixing my strand here that I have that's, you can see, half out. And then the actual tool, which has a little extension cord that comes out the bottom of it. So before we get to using this tool, as with my other video, I get a lot of compliments in the comments about showing you guys how this stuff actually works and why this tool works the way it does, to help you understand it. Because I think if you before you fix anything, you need to understand why you're doing the procedures you're doing in order to fix it. And I think it just helps in the long run to try and diagnose whatever problems you may have. So if you bear with me in another probably decently long video, hopefully I'll try and keep it shorter than the last one, I'm going to show you why things are the way they are in these LED lights, and why when we have a problem, this way of figuring out is different using this tool than the old Lightkeeper Pro. So onto the lights. As I said, trying to figure out what's wrong with these, we have to understand how they work. There are 2 different kinds of LED lights you can buy. They're called half-wave rectified and full-wave rectified. So I have 2 different strings here. You can see this one here is all one string, half of it doesn't work, but it's got these really weird little bubble things on it, which if you buy lights in a big box store, you may not have never noticed these before. That's because this string is more of a commercial grade string, I guess I could say. I bought this online. There are many good manufacturers online or sellers online that make very good LED, very high quality LED lights that are like this. And I know some of them even advertise my videos. I'll put a link down below in the description of all the ones that I bought from in the past that I really liked. But there are many vendors online that sell really good lights that are what we call full wave rectified. The other ones you buy in the big box stores, or just any store really, are more often going to be like these. These are, although they're red, these are different than these lights. These red ones are called half wave rectified, meaning first we have to understand how electricity flows. So you guys remember my awesome diagrams from the last video. AC current, alternating current, comes out of your outlet, actually alternates back and forth 60 times a second, really fast. So if you think about the electricity flowing to the right, and then to the left, and then the right, and the left, and the right, and the left, and the right, and the left, and it's doing that 60 times a second. So 60 cycles every second. So you can see here, basically you have the electricity flowing, you know, to the right, and then to the left, and the right, and to the left. And it ends up making this sine wave I have shown here. So every 1/60th of a second it goes through a cycle, and every time it crosses the 0 line, that light bulb actually shuts off for a split second. So if you have a regular incandescent bulb, say plugged into or screwed into a lamp, or if you have just a regular strand of mini lights, it's actually shutting off 120 times a second. You just can't notice it with your human eye. And LEDs don't operate on this kind of current flow. They operate on direct current, because a diode only works with current flowing in one direction. And with the current flowing back and forth like this, the diode will only operate when the current's flowing one direction, which is why on a half-wave rectified strand, this red one I have here that I bought from my local big box store, on a half-wave rectified strand, we're only using the forward part of the sine wave. So you can see here's the full sine wave, and half-wave rectified isn't going to run when the power is going backwards. It's only going to operate and turn on when the power is moving forward. So because of that, if you have ever noticed when you bought your strands at the big box store, they might have this little slight flicker. which on camera with these red bulbs, I'm probably not going to be able to show it very well here. You can see there's my red bulbs. I don't know if you'll be able to see the flicker or not. I can turn the lights off. Yeah, maybe if you can compare it to the white. It's hard. It's going to be hard to catch it on camera. But any of you who have bought LED lights might have noticed that they do have kind of this little bit of a shimmer to them. And that's because instead of turning off 120 times a second like a normal incandescent bulb, it's every 60th of a second, because they're missing that part of the sine wave where the power's flow in the other direction. So because they're actually off half of the time, which is why we have that odd flicker. A full wave rectified strand is going to cost a lot more money to buy, but it's not going to have that annoying flicker. It's because they are full wave rectified, meaning that these little knobs on these strings here are taking that sine wave that used to go forward and backward, and it's flipping the negative side up to the positive side. So these are turning off every 120th of a second, just like a normal incandescent bulb, because the power is always flowing in the correct direction to make the diode operate. So these strings, you'll notice, not only are they higher quality because they're more expensive, but they don't have that annoying flicker. And something else, a comment about the full wave lights, it doesn't hold true all the time, but if you buy a full wave string, especially from those online dealers that I'll share down in the comments below or in the description, you'll notice that these bulbs don't come out. They're permanent. They're sealed together, so you will never be able to pull these bulbs out. So that's one other part about that. Whereas these bulbs, you'll be able to pull them apart. So there you go. See, I can pull the bulb out, where those other ones I can't. And LED lights, honestly, they're going to last so long that they're never going to burn out. Unlike, like an incandescent bulb, the only time these will ever go out is if they have some kind of fault in their circuitry or something like that. So I don't personally like LEDs, period, because I don't use them in my display. I don't think they're necessarily worth the money. But if you do buy LEDs, you know, you might be able to find these maybe $5, $6, $7 in a big box store, depending upon what the sale price might be. You know, but these really nice ones they're going to run you 10 to 20, maybe even $25 a strand. So you get a really long strand. This one here is just a 50 count strand, but you know, these are the highest quality you can get. And if you're going to buy an LED strand, it's going to last you for years anyway, without ever having to worry about a bulb. Of course, in the one scenario where you do have one that failed, which is very uncommon with these, but I happen to find one. So, okay, anyway, so that's a bit on how the LEDs work, so we know how to address that. Now, there's one more demonstration I can show you of how LEDs only work with the current flowing one direction. Is here I have a replacement bulb from this red string down here, and the handy LED keeper has a bulb tester, just like the other one does, the regular Light Keeper Pro. And if I put the bulb in, you can see here, if I can show it on camera, there's a little positive marker and a negative marker on here. And if I put the bulb in the correct direction in the tester, it'll light up. But if I take this bulb and I turn it the other way, it's not going to light up because I have the current flowing the wrong direction through it. So this just kind of shows once again on these half-wave rectified strings how they won't light up if the current's flowing in the other direction. So that's what's important to understand here. So let's see, here, fix my contact there. So there we go. So that's how it works. And the LED keeper just got a little 9-volt battery in the back of it. That's how it operates. So it's very convenient there. So we'll go ahead now and I'll get to fixing my one string here, and I'll tell you how fixing this string is basically going to be the same for this string, except for the very end when we get to using these little pods that we came with our LED keeper. So I'll show you the difference there. Okay, the first step we're going to have to perform on fixing these LED lights is identifying what part of the string is out, obviously. So on this full wave rectified string, I actually have half of them out because it has this secondary rectifier here in the middle of the string. So it's actually being treated like two separate circuits here. So here's my first string right here, the first half of the string. So the LED keeper is really ingenious in that you don't actually use the power of the outlet to test it, unlike the Light Keeper Pro. So what we're going to do is we're going to unplug our string once we identify what part doesn't work, which is this half here. We're going to actually unplug it and plug it into our LED keeper, which has the cord that comes out the bottom of it. So we're just going to plug it into there. Doesn't matter which way. And this is the kind of really neat thing about this LED keeper, is that what we're going to do is we're going to shortcut the bad part of the circuit somewhere in this string, because the LEDs are only running off of a 9-volt battery, so it's not going to be enough to, you know, cause any harm to us. So we can actually pinch the wire to figure out what's wrong here. So if you see this LED keeper, when I pull the trigger on it, I have this little black clamp that closes down. And when that black clamp closes down, there's actually a little wire needle that sticks up, and it's actually going to pierce the insulation of the wire to shortcut the circuit and complete the circuit through the tool. So I know that this half of our string here doesn't work, so what we're going to do to start is just, after we plugged it in and have it plugged in, we're just going to grab a spot in the middle of the string, and remember, just like my Lightkeeper Pro video, we're just going to isolate the wire right that goes into one of the bulbs, and we're going to stick it in our tool, and we're going to make sure we snug it, you know, you don't have to pull on it too hard. We don't want to break the strand or anything. We want to make sure that when we pull that trigger, it's going to clamp that wire inside like that. So just like that. And you have to pull pretty hard. What should happen is part of the string will light up. So I'll shut off the lights here so you can see. So see, when I pulled the trigger, part of the string lit up. So what we know is everything to the right of the tool here obviously is working. So the problem is not in any of the bulbs here that are lighting up. The problem is going to be somewhere to the left of here. So what we're going to do is take our handy clothespin, the ones that they gave us with the tool are going to be convenient here, and you can either place it next to the bulb, since these are actually just plastic lenses here on my string. I'm just going to go put it right on the lens so I know that bulb's good. So we're going to look somewhere to the left here next. So I'm going to release the trigger, pull that wire out, and you see the wire still sealed up. There's no problem there. Turn my light back on. So we're just going to go again between our clothespin and the beginning of the string. It wasn't working. We'll pick another halfway point. So I'll isolate my one wire here that goes into the bulb. I'll stick my tool in, and I'll pull the trigger. Okay, so I'll shut the light off so we can see again. You can see this time we're lighting up everything to the left of the tool where it's plugged in. So we know those are all good. So I'll grab my clothespin again. We'll put it on the one that's lit up here. Right there. So I know now somewhere between our two clothespins is where our faulty bulb is. So right in this area somewhere. So again, let's take my tool, go right between the two clothespins on a wire, stick it in there, make sure when we clamp down we get the wire. Alright, I'll shut the light off so we can see again. Everything to the left's lighting up, not on the right, so we'll take our clothespin on the left, take it off, and move it up to here. So now we're isolated even more. We just got a few bulbs here, so I'll pick one right here in the middle. Snag onto it with the tool. Okay, going to the left. Oh, I gotta go over one more. Alright, we know that one's good. I'll move the clothespin over one more. So, look at that. We've already isolated it. I know my clothespins work on both of the bulbs I've got here, so we can test again just to make sure. The bulb right here to the left should light up when I pull it. That one lights. You knew this one's dead, so here's the one where my other pin is at. Right here, so I'll go ahead and I'll clamp this one. Just like that. And make sure I grab the string. So there you go, you can see it's lit up. So I know for sure now that this center bulb, I'll turn the lights back on, right here in the middle, that's our bulb, the one that's bad. So you can see what I've done is I've short-circuited using the LED keeper the bad bulb until we figured out which bulb was the one that was not lighting. We kept moving our clothespins closer together until we finally isolated it. So now we know it's this bulb right here. So if this was, you know, our standard store-bought string with the removable bulbs, at this point I would just remove that bulb and replace it with a replacement. But since this string doesn't have removable bulbs, which some strings don't, even though there might be even sometimes in a big box store you'll find a string that doesn't have removable bulbs. We need to figure out a different way to fix this because, you know, obviously we can't pull this bulb out. So the LED keeper gives you these handy little pods that come with the tool. They give you 2 with the package, and you can order more of these online through LED Keeper's website. So I'm sure if you just search LED Keeper, you'll find the appropriate place. I'll go ahead and I'll put a link in the description as well to their website for you. But these pods, is what they call them, if you unscrew the tops of them and open them up, you'll see what's in here. Let me zoom in. You see that little colorful resistor in there? That's a resistor that's going to take the place of the diode in this bulb so the string functions properly. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut this bulb off this string, insert both ends of the wires to each side of the pod here. And you can see it's got these little clamps on the pod that will splice the wire when we close it. So there's no fuss involved. We're just going to cut the wire and stick both ends in here. It doesn't really matter which way. And then clamp it down, and we'll screw the little knob on, and then it'll seal it up tight. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So I've got my wire cutters right here. Now again, make sure we unplug our string. We definitely don't want it plugged into the wall outlet, and I'm going to go ahead and unplug it from the LED keeper too. So I'm going to take my wire cutters and then off just like that. So obviously we're going to lose a bulb, but in the whole string, you're probably not going to notice it. So we'll open up our pod here. I can take my clamps off now that I've already cut my bulb off. So we'll go ahead and we'll insert this one right here. And we'll insert this one right here. So you can see what I've done there. Got the two wires inserted. Whoop, popped out trying to hold it up. So now I got the two wires inserted. You can see there's a little plastic blade between the two wires to keep them from touching, which is what we want. Now we're going to carefully close the pod. And as we close it, that wire will clamp down through the strand. We're going to make sure we have our wire coming out the two slots on the sides. Okay, I'll grab my knob, turn the knob on. Okay, now we're going to plug our string in, and voila! The whole thing works. So I love it when a great plan comes together. So here we go. I have a fixed string using one of our little LED pods. So again, if this was a standard string where you could remove the bulbs, you just replace the bulb. But on a strand with sealed bulbs that you can't remove, you can use the little pod. So I still have one pod left. And again, these are really nice LEDs, so I probably won't be using very many pods very quickly. But if you need more, you can always order more. I'll put all those links down in the description. So there we go. We fixed our LED bulb. So I appreciate everyone joining me for another video on how to fix these lights. If you have any questions or anything, leave a question in the comments. I usually try and get to answering those. But I appreciate you watching. And just remember, just like every incandescent string, every LED string is repairable. Thanks for watching.